Through you, Mr. Chair. So as we are going through this incredible process with residential rental licensing, folks are doing inspections and neighbors and residents are reporting in the various issues, even more so now, so that we can get a grip on where some of these rental units might be. One of the things that is coming up is this issue of overcrowding, and Councillor Brar also alluded to it, which is subletting of units. And in talking to some of my colleagues, Councillor Keenan, Mayor Brown, as well as city staff, we've been now trying to deal with the issue of occupancy limits. And because we now have a system in place to identify what is inside a registered unit through the ARU process. And now we have an annual licensing process in place that is holding landlords to account. What I found is that in the Residential Tenancies Act, it does share that landlords, through very specifics within their lease, can actually limit or provide denial of their tenants to sublet. Let me describe the situation. So enforcement is doing their inspections. They see a house and they inspect a house, or there's a fire and there are 20 people living in the house. That is actually no longer necessarily considered an ARU situation. That is now likely an illegal group home or an illegal lodging home. And so what this motion is saying is that as we're rolling out this process for RRLs, when we see illegal lodging homes and illegal group homes who actually need to abide by a different set of regulations and need to be licensed in a different way, including zoning restrictions, that we need to enforce, find a way to enforce those illegal lodging homes and those illegal group homes, number one. The other thing that this motion is addressing is the issue of overcrowding and subletting. And Councillor Brar brought it up, saying, what can we do to help these landlords deal with situations like this? Number one, many landlords don't necessarily know that they could help themselves by making sure that in their lease, they provide the restrictions before getting the tenant to actually sign on. And in the lease itself, I've been speaking with planning staff as well as enforcement staff on this. In the lease itself, if the city can share with them what a lease would look like for a tenant and a landlord to abide by the RRL program and the ARU program, that document alone would help them deal with issues at the landlord-tenant board and tenants who are violating their lease accordingly. And so with respect to overcrowding and with respect to illegal group homes and lodging homes, this is the motion for staff to take a look at and report back various recommendations, including occupancy limits, given the process of ARU registration and RRL, and also staff report back on how we can actually deal with overcrowding and excessive subletting through the RRL process. That staff report back to identify and enforce existing legislation regarding illegal lodging and group homes. And again, an advocacy to the federal and provincial government in order for us to help cover some of these costs and have the appropriate legislation, including the work and advocacy we're doing to increase resources to the Landlord-Tenant Board, and forwarding this to inform local MPPs and MPs as well. One final thing that I just wanted to point out is actually in the whereas clause. If we could just move up here to the whereas clause, Madam Clerk, if you could scroll up. Because this is a point that Commissioner Ganesh pointed out, which is very important. Number 6, which says the city's comments to the province on Bill 185, Cutting Red Tape to Build More Homes Act 2024, we highlighted as the city the need for the province to consult with municipalities on safety, environmental, and community impacts related to the enforcement of ARUs. Question to the Commissioner, has the province responded to that as of yet?
Through Chair.
No.
Through the chair, through to you, Councillor Santos, there has been no consultation from the province with the City of Brampton to that effect.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. And so, again, as part of our advocacy process, these issues that the City of Brampton is experiencing locally and reacting to locally and using property tax dollars to deal with locally are actually many issues that have been downloaded from other orders of government. I'll certainly be bringing this up at my board meetings at FCM this coming week. But again, we need to create that advocacy package to the provincial and federal government to let them know that Brampton is reacting to these problems and they have yet to even respond to our advocacy efforts with respect to enforcement of ARUs.